Hesed Shabbat. So one of the things that I've been doing since I first heard about it, actually, the county of the only, I've had these Hebrew letter movements that I do take the shapes of the Hebrew letters. And I also take the shapes of the vowels. And every vowel in the Sephirot tree of life, which is this old time of counting, the letters have pathways and the vowels have the Nikudot have the Sephirot themselves. We've got children's diagram, what that looks like. So what I do is I actually physically embody the letters, the vowel sounds, and I do my counting that after I counted officially. That's how I do my counting. I wanted to share this with you. I know you're eating now, so I'm not going to have you do it. But you'll see what it is. And I want to tell you a little bit about how it fits with this week's Parsha. Because the Ishbitzer says that this Bituach Leumi is the carving in of the ways of God, the pathways of God. And it helps us to embody the pathways. So this is what I try to do. So let me show you what Hesed Shabbat Yesod looks like. Hesed is Segol, so it's sound is open. I'm open, and it's like saying, okay, Hashem, wow, bring it in. It's like becoming a funnel for the universe, which Hesed is. It's like no boundaries there. So one of the preparations for this talk was I had this idea and this idea and this idea and this idea. I had tons of ideas. I thought, well, maybe I'll do a little sharing of this one and this one and this one. And I said, Hashem, just leave me. I don't know what I'm going to say. So, and this is what is particular to me, is this opening up the Hesed. And then for this week, it's the basis of the openness, of that loving kindness and expansiveness, is in the area of the soul, communication, intimacy, connectedness, bonding. And that's represented by the Sharuch. And it's so appropriate. The Sharuch is from the heart of God. You bend the head in humility, become the Vav, and you take that dot and you put it by your heart, and you slowly go, ooh, and you connect it to the universe. So it's from the inside out. And that's very much the foundation of your soul. So you're going from a place today of, give it to me, to I'm going to bring that loving kindness and expansiveness. I communicate, connect with. So, and what I do with these is I take them to 3 levels of soul, and I meditate on it as I'm doing it. So it's like for the level of the physical level, the vitality, I do a prayer for fixing the blockages I have in this openness of bonding, communication, connectedness. And then I take it to the level of the emotions. May I unblock and get rid of the incrustations that may be there that are preventing me from being loving in my relationships. And the third one is the neshama. And the neshama is both the intellect but also the spiritual dimension. So again, prayer to purify, to fix whatever the blockage is. In my thinking processes and my spiritual connections. And it's and so that to me helps teach me these abstract words, because what's the difference between Hesed Shabbat Yesod and Yesod Shabbat Hesed? And when you do the movements in a different order, it feels very different. It's like to say, ooh, relationships. It's a very different feeling. So I also have been learning from the shapes when I started verbalizing what I was doing, when I first began teaching this 30, 40 years ago, I realized that the shapes teach. This is what we're given as the dominant way that the vowels don't go secure. So if this is openness, kindness, obvious, right? And this is Gevura. It's setting priorities, it's setting boundaries, it's saying this is my space, this is your space. It's very clear. And then you do Tiferet. It's a dot above the head. Oh, it's the whole lot. And for me, this shape taught me how there's humility in essence. In Tiferet. How do you get balance and harmony? By having a perspective from something higher than yourself. And so it's, and Zoom confirmed that 2 weeks ago. In Tiferet Sheba Netzach, I was teaching a class, and when I was demonstrating this movement, hearts started popping out of my Zoom. Hearts, literally a whole bouquet of hearts popped out of my head. And it repeated itself twice in class, and we laughed about it. And then it happened again this last week. And so I took the Zoom out for myself and started seeing what's the difference? How do you make a cholam that actually demonstrates the heart and where your heart is? The movement's the same. And I found I could identify it. I could make it happen. And it didn't always happen. And so I asked myself, what's that about? It's like there's a way of grounding yourself and centering yourself and focusing. That's the Bob. Of being really present here in the moment, in your body, physically present. And then you take this higher perspective and alignment, a sense of alignment with something higher, and it goes, oh. And it's like, that is the root of that engraving of the ways of Hashem in our heart. Being aware of Hashem's presence and alignment I want to be with. Hashem is holding me. And the first 2 times that those hearts showed, it was when I was saying, I feel humble in light of something greater than it's holding, it's containing. So I thought I was picking up on the words or something. I don't know. I don't still don't know what causes hearts.
That's the heart you're talking about.
Yeah, you can show that around. It's amazing.
Somebody did it.
Yeah, she's talking.
It happens on
Somebody did.
Nobody presses the button. I was told that if you shape a heart, it looks like a heart, but it doesn't always happen.
Somebody probably did it anyway.
Nobody in my class.
Oh, they didn't do it?
No, they didn't. I want you to move. And it happens without it. It happens with you. Oh, so let me. I didn't have your attention a little longer. I just wanted to explain some of these connections between the Nicodot and the girls. So Netzach.
Okay,
Netzach. And it happened 7 hearts the first week, 8 hearts the second week. The week of Lag BaOmer and Od, it went to 8 every time I did it. I'm going to try to sit. Anyway, so Netzach, that's Tiferet, that's a dot up here. And then you get Netzach is E. Let me just show you here. E. Now, could you see me before? I didn't pay attention to that. E. So the E is like Netzach is a sense of perseverance and tenacity and focus and purposefulness. So it's like the condensation of self with a big S, E, and bringing that down, beginning to focus, do something. It's asking, what is my purpose here? What dot am I among all the dots, connected to Hashem in the big path, eternal. Then what happens in Od, you get 3 dots at an angle. And 3 dots at an angle, as I was doing it, this is Gevura, setting your boundaries and limits and priorities. Code is when you're in relation to someone else, you refine your message, depending on who you're talking to. You know, because there's a third part. There's empathy with another. There's a sense of what the situation is. You move into what are you given? You can't keep your high priorities in the Torah in every situation. You have to modify. You have to refine it. So that's code. And that causes the shining code. When you're able to do that, say, oh, I have this purpose and I'm this person in this system, but this is what I'm given. How do I make that together? And then we're now in the Yesod, where the heart, the dot comes here. So you're able to speak out, to communicate, to connect to that level of the deep heart of the place. And so it comes to Malchut. What's Malchut? It's empty, right? And so what's that? It's the place of action and it's the place of receiving at the same time. So the answer I got, Hashem breathes me. Just being totally in your body, present, and allow the breath to come when it comes. With we are only alive, moving, and acting when Hashem literally breathes me at every breath. And to get in touch with that, to be conscious of that, to quiet down, to have the Shabbos, to have the Shemitah, to have the yoga. You're freeing yourself from the action level. You know, you're freeing yourself from the sense of bound up in time when you have certain laws about interest taking. You don't take interest. You want to fix time. You want to fix your boundaries when you have a Shemitah year. You know, when you give the land rest, when you fix your soul and Yovel, when you release slaves, not to enslave any other person. So each of these has a different level of connection to the parshas. I just want to briefly do that, show you what I do for the counting, and I can do it physically. And I mentioned to you that I have a YouTube channel, 5008. Yehudit Goldfarb, 5008. There's a lot of Yehudit Goldfarbs. And I have
You're the 508.
I don't know what that is. It's probably number. That's the 13 midot, you know. So, but on there, I have years of doing this and explaining about it and stuff. I can do 5 videos. So there's this and other things. I mean, you'll have to see that. Let me share.
Thank you so much. Okay, time to talk about lying. To tell you the truth. All right, so we've been going over this concept of sheker, the toelis, truth, falsity for a good purpose, and instances where it is permitted. So we had been talking about like a Talmud Chacham might be allowed to lie under certain situations, and there are poskim who say that those same situations would be permitted for everybody. Okay, just to put it into context for people who weren't here all along, the idea is that just like Aaron a Kohen went around to people and said, "Oh, this person really wants to make up," or we have instances where Yaakov appeared to be not quite honest. That we have this definition that we're working with, that truth is not a restatement of facts. The way that it affects a person plays into it. So that's actually what we've been focusing on. Okay, so we said that in matters of privacy, person could lie, like somebody says, "Are you pregnant?" We also said if
Nobody asked me again in 9 months.
you thought about a good response. Okay, good. Said in matters of learning. Okay, also in matters of hospitality. Somebody says, "Where are you staying?" You're actually allowed to lie. Okay, because you don't want to. Someone says, "Ooh, like you're talking to somebody you know is kind of a not such a great human being, and you tell them this is where I'm staying, and then they, oh, I'm gonna go there too. I can, benefit from them also. Same thing with tzedakah, where you get tzedakah money, someone did you a tova, you don't necessarily want to further drain their resources if they're not in a position to donate money. If someone asks you, how does the guy act when he's, not in shul, like how does he act at home? Like what, is he sitting there in his undershirt? Like what? So again, you're allowed to, this is not anybody's business. You're allowed to lie about it. You're allowed to.
It's about a shit. That's what
It's not anybody's business.
Talking about lying. We have allowed to lie to chicken. If you make peace before people, if you save somebody life, in one more thing. This is not a thing.
Okay.
If somebody, that's it, don't think.
Okay, if someone,
we have to lie. We have to lie peace, be like here, say that I'm sorry, I cannot answer the question. Very simple. I just cannot every question people ask. And when you ask the question, ask
and maybe,
yourself,
and you don't know what reaction that will create.
Otherwise, we can lie.
You don't know what that will create. Yeah.
I think there's a balance. If you don't want to lie, just take the easy way out because you haven't made the effort.
Okay.
I think there's another way that you can do it.
Right.
Listen.
I just want to go back to our first, with the place where we, Leah, please let me speak, okay? Please let me speak, okay? I want to go back to the place where we started in this whole Indian, okay? So this was, someone says, I'm glad that's over. Sivia collapsed into the undersized chair with a sigh of relief. Now I can start sleeping again. I've been so nervous about this model lesson. I haven't slept well in days. You were great, Sivia, Mimi assured her. The second graders were hanging on your every word. Really, you think so? Oh, I'm so glad, because I was so nervous. What do you think, Yehudit? Well, you repeated yourself a lot and looked at your paper too much. The girls in front listened, but the ones in the back were fooling around. You should have walked around while you spoke, and you forgot about having an exciting introduction and summary at the end. You just rattled off all of these criticisms, okay? And then she says, oh, thanks for your opinion, and then just kind of walks out the door. And then at the end, Mimi says, Yehudit, how could you do such a thing? I was telling the truth. It wasn't a very good lesson. And she asked your opinion, so I told her, Leah, she's upset about this. Okay. Okay. Mimi says, I always tell the truth. I can't say anything that smacks of checker. Admit it. Wasn't what I said true? Okay, so the point of this story and the point of what we've been talking about all along is that it's not about an exact recitation of facts, right? What's going to happen the next time this woman goes to teach? She's going to be equally nervous, and she's going to be terrible again, right? But if you tell her, wow, you're great, she comes in, she feels like, well, I got one success under my belt, I'm sure I'm going to be great this time. It's a matter of trying to understand and anticipating a person's feelings. Okay, and there are situations where we just don't really understand. We don't know the full picture of why someone would be forced to tell the truth. We learned that a Talmud Chacham, you could ask somebody something, a Talmud Chacham a question, and he says, I don't know. How is it a Talmud Chacham can lie and say, I don't know? Well, you don't know that maybe he's in a state of mental decline. Maybe he's got early Alzheimer's, and last week he tried to do the exact same thing and got all messed up and embarrassed himself. What?
He's not lying.
Well, he might know it, but at that moment, but he might not. Okay, so he didn't forget everything, but he like started telling over something and he got messed up and he made less details, and he was trying to be honest and truthfully give over Torah without transmitting anything that was incorrect. So he was actually being more honest.
Right.
He was being more honest.
Right.
Okay.
Because there's always a way of couching things. You don't have to outright lie.
Exactly.
Or you can just say, well, I have some feedback, but I'm talking about it later.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
Or say,
Okay,
so people work a little harder and try to think of an answer or whatever. You can't use the language.
No, this is the underlying truth of truth of everything that we've been talking about. If a person, you don't want to speak in a way that something is an out lie. You try and couch it in a way so why? So that it doesn't become something that just rolls off of your tongue. Okay, somebody, like we had some conversation about somebody asked for a pen and you say no. Well, so miss the bus. Why do you have to lie? Why don't you just miss the bus? Well, maybe the person, Leah, listen to this, please. Maybe the person can't miss the bus. Maybe the person has to get home because the Ozeret is leaving and somebody has to be with her mother all the time. Or her husband is waiting for some important papers and you can't come 20 minutes later because the person has to leave exactly when you get home. We don't know the circumstances all the time of what the situation is. We don't know exactly what is the background behind, and we of course have to don lekaf's fuss. We have to judge people in a way that, oh, they're not telling the truth. No, they're telling the truth. They're saying something in a way to protect people, to be sensitive to the other person's feelings, to make sure that we don't publicize something that someone doesn't want publicized, or we show them. It's all very simple, Leah. Okay, I just want to make another point here. Leah, excuse me, Leah, excuse me. Okay.
I think it's interesting how, as a people, I think we're all very much dedicated to the truth, right? And
Yes.
that it's like a very, very strong, in terms of like what we strive for, truth within ourselves, truth with obviously
Yes.
the Torah. And then on the other hand, there's this thing of like, well, it's actually sort of being alive. Right. But that's part of, I feel like, humanity, that there are certain situations where like it's even better because we don't want to hurt people's feelings. That's also a huge mala, as a mala in Yiddishkeit, that we don't want to hurt people's feelings. They have to
Right. But I think that's why I
hurt someone's feelings.
I think that's why
That's what we have to learn.
exactly. I think that's why that there's a certain level of discomfort in the fact that we've been learning this because we are truthful people and we really we are uncomfortable here. This is pages and pages and pages saying you can lie here, you can lie here, you can lie here, you can lie here. But that is the halacha. And when a doctor says to you, you have to eat on Yom Kippur, and you say, no, I don't want to, I'm going to be more holy. No, asur. You cannot not eat. It is asur for you to endanger your life and not take the psak halacha from a rav and a doctor. Dvorah.
I think the dilemma is that the word truth is not the word emet. And I think we keep thinking
Correct.
that they're the same word.
Correct.
And emet, given that it applies all the way from Aleph to top,
Right.
has to take in the whole picture.
Right. Very good. Very good point. Okay. I just want to, I'm going to finish, and we're not doing this topic anymore. This is our the last. Yeah, really. The name, what this mitzvah is called is Sheker Litoelis. Okay, and that is the main point. Sheker, falsehood for a beneficial reason. Okay, Lashon Hara Litoelis. There are reasons, there are times when it is necessary. If a person is functioning in a way that's self-serving, if I say to you, wow, that is just the most beautiful dress, and I love your necklace, and do you like me? Will you lend me $1? If I'm doing it for a self-serving reason, then it's a lie. If I'm doing it for the purpose of making you feel good or letting you know that you're really a beautiful woman, then why not?
Picked a good example.
Okay, then why not? So in each case, a person has to look for what is the benefit in what you say? And it's not just true about lying, it's true about everything that you say. When you walk through the world, do you think about what could I say to this person that will make them feel good, or will make their situation easier, or will make their lives easier? That's our job. That's our job. And if it sometimes involves not telling the exact facts of the situation, but it involves as divorce, the MS of the situation, then we are allowed to do that.
I just want to point out the connection you were and what you're saying. Chesed is like having consideration, kindness for the other person, and you saw this communication.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. What did you?
I was trying to give an example of the opposite, where the truth is a lie.
Oh, okay.
Like the whole, if I say so-and-so's husband didn't beat her for 2 weeks, that's a truth,
Right,
but
Right.
it's a lie.
right.
So there's things
Okay.
you have to understand it.
Okay,
Truth is
okay,
what Hashem wants.
okay. Thank you very much.
That's that whole thing with, Hillel and Shammai, like, do you say the bride, like, do you say the bride is beautiful? And Hillel says, yes, you always say the bride is
Right.
beautiful. And Shammai said, no, she's not beautiful, you don't say she's
Oh,
beautiful.
no,
Right.
that's
What?
That's but she is beautiful. Leah, what did you want to say?
I say, it is the Lord now with an equation which can better somebody. This is the Lord. Think about, is your question can better somebody? So what people do not answer question. This is very important thing. In secondary Judy, we have ego, we have Lashon Hara. Lashon Hara always ask them. This so saying not a bad deal, not a bad say. We have to very, very strict and think before we open our mouths.
Okay.
Either bring peace, or I just protect my ego, or protect somebody's ego. This we have to think before open our mouths. It's
Okay. Very
Don't
good.
go on.
Thank you.
What, Judy,
Maybe we should hold on 1 second. Yes.
what is Leah saying about, she's talking about Lashon Hara?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, so is she talking about that fine line between telling the truth that might hurt someone?
Well, not exactly. She's saying that you should be careful about, in general, about what you say.
Yeah.
You shouldn't ask a question, or you shouldn't,
Because
act under ego.
yeah, but what you said before about somebody criticizing maybe the presentation, Lashon Hara, it's referring to, what does it say here? Speaking negatively about a person, even if the statements are true,
Right.
and not intended to correct or improve.
Correct. Right.
It's not
exactly.
it's not Hotzat Shem Ra.
Very good. Okay. Very good.
Is that right?
Okay, so that is it, and that is all. And I have a few announcements, if I may. So first of all, I forgot the okay, I forgot the box. So dues, everybody knows that you pay either monthly or you can pay daily. It's, how much is it? 25 for the morning classes and 20 for the afternoon class. Okay, so that's here. We're starting a new please take. Okay, so we're gonna put stuff, if you have stuff around your house, there's no gamach around easily. If you want to get rid of stuff, we're gonna make, somebody want to make a sign? Somebody volunteer to make a sign? We're just gonna put stuff right over there in that little corner where you're sitting. Who are you? Batya, hi.
Please take.
Please
I
take.
want that.
What? No. She's the first one. Take her and take her into your heart. Okay, so, oh, by the way, after this, we're gonna learn about, women learning Torah, and you have to go to Beit Knesset. Okay. There is a topic.
Last week in the afternoon.
Somebody lost a wedding ring.
Yeah, okay. So anything that you want to bring, I mean, we're not talking about, grapes that are just about to, rot away, but I mean, a scarf that you really like, but you never wear, you have a, no, the necklaces come to me. But other stuff, other things can go here. You'll take the diamonds, okay.
And if it's not taken by the end of the day, you take it back with you.
Okay, good suggestion. Okay, very good suggestion. Okay, also today at 12:30, Rav Rome is continuing. Sorry, he's continuing his shiur on what's the title on emotional realignment for Shavuot, transforming the 7 midot to reveal your true self. Okay, so that's at 12:30. Okay, so we have our Tikkun Leil Shavuot, which appropriately is on a Monday this year. Isn't that nice, right? It's on Yom Sheni. So in
Sunday night.
Sunday, it's Yom Sheni. Okay, Sunday night into breakfast will be a little earlier. Breakfast will be at about 4. I'm kidding, no breakfast, light snacks. But we really have some wonderful people who are going to be speaking, and we have Rav Rome is giving a shiur, and Rivki Kaplan will be teaching and also leading a chavrusa study. And Dova will be speaking, and Ilana Trothman will be speaking, and maybe if there's room for me, I'll be speaking at the end. And so that's the plan. And it's at Shevachaya's gallery. She every year very generously donates her place, and we're extremely appreciative. And so that'll be so that's something to look forward to. And okay, that's I think my notes. Does anybody else have something? Batsky went first. That was a fast hand.
Firstly, I'd like to ask if because we are learning today note of a sister-in-law getting a house hunt completely back tradition